So I'm driving to Iowa for my grandpa's funeral, my great uncle's funeral, and I was just thinking about there's something relevant for class, so I wanted to share it with you. I probably should take those off, that's kind of rude. But you have to try to bear with me because I'm driving and thinking. A dangerous combination. So I was just thinking about how the literature on learning, okay? Let's talk about learning for a minute. All people are motivated to learn. We know that, right? We know that everyone is wired to learn stuff, whatever it is. The challenge, of course, is getting them motivated to learn the stuff that we want to teach them, whatever that is. And I'm just wondering about what part of our brains, wondering about the effect on motivation on learning. Let me hang with me for a minute. So, I love magazines. I love magazines. And I know some days magazines are going the way of the newspaper, and you see that theme from me of printed material, right? But at our house, we get Sports Illustrated, National Geographic, Money, Time, National Geographic Kids, Sports Illustrated Kids, National Geographic Explorer, Shape, Self, Fitness, Oxygen, a great women's fitness magazine, Men's Health, Running World, Reader's Digest, Country Living, Better Homes and Gardens, and maybe more. That's all I can think of right now. Okay, we get a lot of magazines, and I read those magazines. I read those magazines cover to cover every week. And I know you're thinking, I don't know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking like, gosh, she is such a nerd. Okay, yeah, okay, I own that. That's fine. But I love to read magazines. I love to read the newspaper. I just love to read, right? And I learn all sorts of different things when I'm reading. I love to learn, like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I love to learn athletes, NCAA, rocks, designing rooms, problems with remodeling attics. It doesn't matter. I just enjoy reading it. But here's the thing that I'm just interested in my brain, okay? When I'm reading those magazines, I'm learning. I'm passively learning or interestingly learning, or, you know, I don't set out necessarily to read like, oh, I can't wait to read this article so I can find out how to dry stack rocks to make walls, okay? But I learn those things, right? I'm interested when I learn them. But it always is kind of frustrating to me when I'm in the middle of Better Homes and Gardens and I come across an article like how to deal with your ADHD child. I don't want to know how to deal with my ADHD child from Better Homes and Gardens. And what I usually do when I hit that part of the magazine, now this is what's interesting, okay? I usually bookmark it, stop reading it, maybe read another magazine, may lay it down for a few minutes, may go back and read it again. I will always read the article of how to deal with your ADHD child, or whatever, something that's like, I had schizophrenia and I lived through it, and whatever. So, you know, personal accounts, or something that interfaces between the pop culture and the mental health world. Why do I always do that? Because I feel like it's important for us as psychologists to know what's being printed about our field, and I want to know what's in the layperson's journals. And it's not that I necessarily think I'm going to learn something, like, you know, a topic that might be relevant for me of how to teach parents to deal with their ADHD child or whatever. But it's that I need to know what's out there, right? And maybe it's a good article that I end up to do copy for parents or whatever else. But here's the thing. The shift is when I put the magazine down and I'm like, I didn't want to do this right now. Gotta change lanes. Important. Always look in your blind spot. So, what happens in that shift? I'm motivated to learn something, okay? I'm motivated to look at these magazines about health and fitness and money and everything else. But yet, I have to get myself geared up. Stop reading the magazine, remember I told you that, to learn something in my field. It's not that I don't care about our field of psychology, it's that it's a different level of motivation in a different part of my brain. Now, that's what I don't know. That's the interesting question for you. I don't really suspect it's a different part of my brain. I think the part of learning that involves learning about how to make dry stone stack walls is the same part of my brain that's learning about how to deal with ADHD child or whatever else. But there's a different level of motivation that has to kick in for me to go and read that article. I think in that motivation piece that's the piece that certainly Prochaska has a lot to say about that. I think Mikichi and other authors have a lot to say about how do we tap into engaged students to get them motivated to learn what we want them to learn. That's really the tough challenge. And I think that has to do with something in the lines of motivation and engagement, making things relevant, making the students gear up to learn, if you will, okay, helping them gear up to learn. So anyways, just interesting stuff. I'm just pondering here, thinking about it as I cross Illinois. For those of you who've never been to Illinois, I'm sure that's not very many of you, but you have to get through Illinois to get through Iowa. I don't mean that bad against Illinois, because I really do like the plains and the area out here. But here's what it looks like. There it is. That's Illinois, and it looks a lot like northern Indiana, which looks a lot like Iowa. So those of you who are really interested in what the plains states look like, you can just look right now, and this is going to give you a lot to go with for a lot of miles, because that's kind of how it looks. So, all right, learn safely. Don't make podcasts when you drive. It's probably not safe. And talk to you guys later. Have a lovely learning time. Bye.